That's what it sounded like.
Alright, you got h of x equals negative x cubed. Now be quiet, some of y'all are already behind. Plus 2x squared minus 15x to the 7. Like I said earlier, I'm just starting you back with the stuff that we've been doing a long time ago. I'm going to work you up to where we are now. Alright, directions for this say to decide whether the function is a polynomial function, and then if it is, put it in standard form, give its degree, type, and leading coefficient. So we got a yes or no to start with, and if it's a yes, we got to give its degree, its type, and its leading coefficient. Yeah, that's a 7th one then. Leading coefficient. Alright, first thing, we made a chart. This was a few weeks ago. We made a chart that had all that stuff in there, the type and all that kind of stuff. To not be a polynomial function, it's easier to check for that than it is to check if it's a polynomial function. Things that can't happen for it to not be a polynomial function, if it's not a polynomial function, it's because it's got a negative power, it's got a power that's a variable, it's got a variable on the denominator. Remember all that? So what about this thing? Does that... Okay, it is. So yes, this is a polynomial function. Yes, polyfun. Remember how I used to write that? Alright, so I left off standard form. That was the first thing I told you was we needed to write it in standard form. Standard form just goes in descending order of the powers. So my highest power is a 7. So I'm going to say h of x equals, I'm going to put that term first, so negative 15x to the 7th. Then what's next after that? Negative x cubed, that's a 7 and I wrote a 2 like a goober. Negative x cubed, and then 2x squared. Okay, so I got it in standard form. Check that off. What's the degree of our function? 7. My highest power is a 7, so the degree up there, I'm going to write 7. Now the type. What did we say the type of this thing is?
Our chart didn't go to the same, so.
What did we didn't have a generic term after that. I know first, what was first? Let's just review them all while we're there.
I don't know what gave it.
Linear. Then second was quadratic. Third was cubic. Fourth was quartic. And then there's not, you know, we could say fifth was quintic and heptic and hextic and make up stuff, but there's not anything after that. So on the type on this, we would just say again it's the 7th degree or leave it blank. Okay, once it gets after 4. You have a date on that note? Maxine, I'm looking for it back here.
It was the very first day. It was October 17th. Oh,
October 17th.
It was the very
right
first
there.
day.
I don't think I did that.
Alright. Leading coefficient. Leading coefficient is the coefficient that corresponds with our degree. So if our degree is 7, the leading coefficient is the coefficient of that term. So our leading coefficient would be negative 15.
So for type, we're not putting anything?
Right. Because once it gets past 4, we don't have special names.
That's all you do.
Okay?
That's so easy.
I know it. Alright, let's look at one. As soon as the sneeze passes me.
What's here? Take your pineapples.
SpongeBob.
Pineapple makes it go away.
First person I ever heard say that.
Well, it worked. I thought it was banana.
I hate when you feel like you have to sneeze and you don't, and your
And it
nose
burns.
burns.
I think y'all are weird.
Stop it.
I know, sneezing is like the most like relief thing ever. It's like, oh wait,
Did I
look
say
at
I think
you.
I'm weird?
It's just so good. Yeah, it does. I love
Alright, one more of that same type of problem that we just did. The directions are the same. Determine whether it's a polynomial function. If it is, put it in standard form, give the degree, the type, and the leading coefficient. Okay. So that is a 0.5 on that negative 5x. It says x cubed minus 5x to the 0.5 plus 13x squared plus 8. Okay, do you think that is a polynomial function or not? I've already heard the right answer, but what does everybody else think?
No.
No is correct because not poly fun. Because 0.5 is the same as 1/2. Can't have a fraction power to be a polynomial function. Okay? When it's not, you don't got to answer any of the rest of those questions. You just
Really?
Yeah, really. I know. Less work. Malia likes that.
I'm just surprised I was actually right.
They said how
Because-
you just go back
right.
to the
Bec-
determine if it's a polynomial.
Because and it was not because it had a fraction as a power. 0.5 is the same as 1/2.
I meant on this one, I'm sorry. On the
Oh.
one when we decided it was a polynomial.
All its powers were just normal numbers. Whole numbers,
Oh,
no negatives. Alright, next. We went to adding, subtracting, and multiplying. So let's do a little bit of all that. I've got x minus 2 times x minus 1 times x plus 3. We'll do the multiplying first, and then you do an add one, and then do a subtract one. Yep. Okay. What we would need to do here is FOIL 2 of those binomials. It doesn't matter which two. I'll just work left to right and do the first two. And then what I get for that, then I'll have to distribute the last one to it. So my FOIL, give me x squared minus 1x minus 2x plus 2. 95% of the time when you FOIL, you can combine those middle terms. So it'll be x squared minus 3x plus 2. Now, some of y'all will just go ahead and write minus 3x. Y'all won't write that step there, and that's fine. Algebra 3, it's weird how the year works in Algebra 2 and Algebra 3. Right now, Algebra 3 is kind of close to the same place y'all are, so we're kind of doing the same stuff at this point in time. They just write negative 3x. They don't have to go through that step of doing the outer and inner. They combine it in their head. All right. Now we got that x plus 3 to distribute to it. You can put it on either end, front or back. Y'all are normally more comfortable when it's on the front for whatever reason, so I'll put mine on the front. X times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 3x is negative 3x squared. X times 2 is positive 2x. Now I got to do the 3 to all three of those. So 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times negative 3x is negative 9x, and 3 times 2 is a positive 6. So like terms there, you got x cubed. Your x squareds cancel out, don't they? Keep going. 2x and negative 9x is negative 7x, and then you got a positive 6. That's it. Now every time, and nobody said it yet, I may be too fast, every time somebody will say, what if I put 0x squared? That's fine. That's right if you put 0x squared. If it's a multiple choice, you won't see that as a choice, but it is right. Okay? Remember how to multiply, multiply, multiply? Alrighty. Adding and subtracting. I got 4x cubed minus 12x squared minus 5 minus negative 8x squared plus 4x plus 3. Alright, every time I'll have, we'll do a multiplication problem, then I'll give this problem to you, and people will want to multiply on that. Look up there, there's a flashing neon sign. Well, not really, there's just a minus sign. Okay, so there's a minus sign between the two, so that's telling you to subtract. So I'm just going to subtract like terms. So over here in the first parentheses, I got a 4x cubed minus no x cubed, right? So 4x cubed minus nothing is 4x cubed. Okay, now I've got a negative 12x squared minus negative 8x squared. What's negative 12 minus negative 8? Negative 4x squared. Good. Now, this is where people will go wrong. I do not have an x to the first in this parentheses. So that's the same as if it were a 0x, right? So 0x minus 4x is negative 4x. If people miss this, that's where they would do it. They'll just drop down that positive 4x. See why it's negative? Because you're subtracting it from nothing. 0 minus 4. And then on my constant, negative 5 minus 3,
Negative 8.
negative 8. That's it. Hey, Abby.
Huh?
Hey.
Hey.
Doing all right? Just checking. I like you in this class better. I don't know if you're
Me too.
oh good. I don't know if you were gonna like this class better or not, but this could be one of my favorite classes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I hated that.
Your other class was not my favorite.
Isn't that good?
Yes.
That's when I was in fourth.
You made a wise decision too.
That class is cool.
No, fifth's not full. There's less people in there. Second and fifth are my two smallest. Third and fourth are full.
But there was a lot of people in this
No, there's not very many people in there. But the ones that are in there are loud and annoying. I'd say that, didn't I? Alright, we're gonna do an add now. Add you do the same way, but we'll do one so you get some more practice.
I forgot about that.
X to the fourth plus 3x cubed minus x squared plus 6 plus 2x to the fourth minus 3x plus 9. Alright, so we got an add problem here. It's got an addition sign between the two. So it's the same thing as on the subtraction one that we just did. We're combining like terms, but this time we're combining them with addition. Okay, so I'll tend to try to stay in standard form order, go in descending power order. So x to the fourth is my highest, so x to the fourth plus 2x to the fourth gets me 3x to the fourth. Then here I got an x cubed, 3x cubed plus 0x cubed. It's 3x cubed. And here I've got an x squared, negative x squared plus 0x squared. Negative x squared. Okay. Next thing I see in that parentheses is a 6, but I'm staying in descending order, so let me see if I've got an x to the first anywhere, and I do. So 0x plus negative 3x. Negative 3x. And then my constant, 6 plus 9. 15.
I got it right.
Atta kid.
So did I.
Atta girl. Alright. After we added, subtracted, and multiplied, we went to dividing. Oh, Kylie's
Just the synthetic thing.
Oh,
Yes, we're gonna
this
do
is the
both
one where you have
kinds.
to guess. No, this is
No.
one to guess.
I get caught up on the long ones where you have to do like outside and like.
Yeah, we're going to do one of both of those. Alright, let's do the long division first to get it knocked out of the way. Let's do x cubed plus x squared plus 3x minus 4 divided by x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now, I told you we're doing long division, but how do I know that that's my only choice on this one? Why can I not do synthetic division? Good, it's a trinomial. My highest power is a squared. Okay, so if my highest power is not a 1, I've got to put long, it's got to be long division. What you're dividing by is what goes outside the box. So x squared plus 2x plus 1 goes outside, and that's got every power, so I didn't need any zeros. 2, 1 constant. Inside the box, I've got x cubed, x squared, 3x, negative 4, 3, 2, 1 constant, so I didn't need any zeros. Alrighty. This whole
That's where our minds went.
This whole shebang starts off by saying x squared times what gets me x cubed. So we just put an x on the roof. Now we got to distribute that x to all three of these pieces out in front. So x times x squared gets me x cubed. X times 2x is 2x squared. And x times 1 is 1x. Now when I draw that line, what operation will I be performing next? Subtraction. X cubed minus x cubed is nothing. He gone. X squared minus 2x squared. X squared minus 2x squared. Negative 1x squared. 1 minus 2. 3x minus 1x, positive 2x. Now I've only got 2 things down here, but I got 3 out there. So I need to bring down O minus 4 to the party. Okay, now we do that same start process again. X squared times what makes negative x squared? So we just throw a negative 1 up there on the roof. Now we got to distribute that negative 1 to all 3 of those pieces. So negative 1 times x squared is negative x squared. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. What operation's happening here? Subtraction. Negative x squared minus negative x squared is nothing. You go. This one looks like it's gone, but it's not because you're subtracting 2x minus negative 2x is 4x. Good. Negative 4 minus negative 1. Negative 3. Alright, so I got nothing left to bring down, and x squared can't go into x, so what is this stuff down here called? Remainder. So I take what I had on top, then my remainder goes over what I divided by. So all of that is the answer. Alright, let's get that. Bless you, whoever sneezed, and look at a synthetic division. Easier. I like synthetic more.
I think on the test you should just cancel out whichever ones that involves that involves the guessing with the synthetic division.
Pretty good trick. What I said, the worst they can say is no. That's all I said. No.
It's just going to take more room, so I don't have this much left.
You can probably put the synthetic one in there, but you're going to need a new piece of paper pretty soon.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I thought you meant like the rest of the day.
No, man.
Alright, so I have got x to the 5th plus 4x to the 4th plus 2x plus 8. I'm dividing that dude by x plus 4. Alright, so I know I can do synthetic this time because what I'm dividing by is a 1x to the 1st power. Now, but I notice in what's going to go in my box, I'm missing some stuff, so I'm going to have some zeros, right? Alright, so I'll put my box. I've got a 1x to the 5th, a 4x to the 4th, a 0x cubed, a 0x squared, a 2x, and a constant of 8. Now, what's going to go outside my box? Negative 4. Good job. X plus 4 equals 0 means that it's a negative 4 that will go outside. Alright, you get this show on the road by dropping your first number all the way to have something to multiply. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Now, this turns out to be a pretty simple one here. Negative 4 plus, you add in synthetic, negative 4 and 4 is 0. Right? 0 times negative 4 is 0. 0 and 0 is 0. 0 times negative 4 is 0. This will give somebody low self-esteem. 0 and 0 is 0. 0 times negative 4 is 0. Uh-oh. I got to actually add. 2 and 0 is 2. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. We're back. 8 negative 8 is 0. Okay, since we got a 0 in that last space, that means there is no remainder, right? Alright, this shebang started off as an x to the 5th, which means my x is 1 power less than that, so that would be x to the 4th. Then I had a 0x cubed, a 0x squared, a 0x, a constant of 2. So that's your answer.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
What happens if negative 4 wouldn't have worked? What do you do then?
You'd have had a remainder. Just like on the last problem, we had a remainder.
Okay. But what was it whenever we had like all the factors that we had?
When we actually had to solve that.
Oh.
We're going to get there. Hey. if you're missing one of the powers, so we had a fifth power, a fourth power, but we didn't have a third or a second, so we had to put zeros in there. Whatever your highest power is, you gotta have all the powers underneath it. So, right, right. Alright, then we did some factoring, and we spent a lot of time on factoring because there's a lot of different ways to factor. I'm going to give you one that I think is one of the ones that you're most likely to forget. So we'll look at this one. It says 64x cubed minus 8. Directions say to factor completely. 64x cubed minus 8, and we're factoring completely. What's the first thing we have to check for every time we factor? Greatest common factor. Do we have one? Yes, we do. We've got an 8 that we're going to divide that whole thing by. So that leaves me with 64x cubed divided by 8 is 8x cubed. Negative 8 divided by 8 is negative 1. Okay? Now, it's not it, unfortunately. The stuff that's in the parentheses, that's a cubed, and it's a minus sign, so we had a pattern for difference of cubes. So I got to check and see if all that stuff is perfect cubes or not. Remember we labeled an A and a B and plugged it in? Is 8x cubed a perfect cube? Does something times itself 3 times make 8x cubed? Yes. 2x, right? 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. X times x times x is x cubed.
Is there a way in your calculator like you could do a
Cube root?
Yeah.
Math. You didn't hit math. Get out of that. Math. There you go.
Oh, that one right there.
Yep. Alright. Scroll it down until you see the cube root.
B compared to
Yep. Alright, what about 1? What times itself 3 times gets you 1? 1. Alright, so difference of cubes. Starts off, I'm going to put my 8 down already that I factored out.
What is negative 1?
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just, and I think me and you were hung up on that last time. I don't look at the sign on that. I just take the number.
Okay.
Because the only thing that's different in those two patterns is the signs. And so that will mess me up. Yep. Yep. Alright, so start off with A difference minus B. Right? Then the second parentheses is A squared. Now our A is a 2x. So when we square that, you have to square the 2 and the x. So that'll be 4x squared.
Wait, why do you do that? Where'd that come from? Because you lost me.
Well, y'all wrote this down a while ago.
I didn't understand what
So that first part there, A squared, means I take my A and square it. I like that, Anna. That's pretty good.
Yeah, this is for the stuff I don't know how it happens, but I know it happens.
There's a lot of stuff in math that would be on that. You got a magic sheet for the stuff that just happens magically.
Hey, what's it called? Difference of cubes?
Yes. Yes. Alright, so after that we've got our ax squared, then it says plus a times b. So 2x times 1 would just be 2x. And then it says plus b squared. So 1 squared would just be 1. So that's your answer.
That's it?
Yeah. So you just need to make sure you find those patterns and have those
So
ready.
like looking at the answer doesn't look like it's factored in.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say that what Kylie just said. When we look at the trinomial part of that, y'all hey, focus. We look at the trinomial part of this. Every time that does appear, like you could do more to it, but if you check that, a times c is 4. What factors of 4 add to 2? You got 1 and 4, that makes 5. 2 and 2, that makes 4. So once you do sum or difference of cubes, that trinomial will be done. It plays with my mind too. I understand why you think that. It looks like you ought to go for it. Wednesday. Alright, after that, we went to solving these things. So I've got x cubed plus x squared minus 8x minus 12 equals 0, and I'm told to solve that. Alright, first off, how many answers is this thing going to have?
3.
3. My highest power is 3, so I've got 3 answers. Originally we said we could have up to 3, but then I reminded you that some of them could be imaginary, so it can and will have 3. Alright, so we got options on what to look at here. If it'll factor, that's a lot easier than doing the guess and check stuff. So I'm trying to see if it will factor. They all 4 don't have a GCF, but since there's 4 of them, it could possibly work by grouping. Remember that? That's what Kylie wants to check on. So I'm going to see, I'm not sure, I'm going to see if this will work by grouping. I don't think it's going to, because this first group would have an x squared. That would leave me with x plus 1. I can't get an x plus 1 out of this, because doesn't go into it evenly. Now,
So you're telling me I just wasted my pencil and my eraser that doesn't work?
well, let me tell you something, Hot Rod. I was explaining that I don't think this is going to work while you and Brooklyn were carrying on a conversation. Any more comments?
Unfortunate.
That's right. All right. There we go.
What do you do?
So from there, we go to the synthetic division. So the guess and check is right. 1x cubed, 1x squared, negative 8x, negative 12. And this is what Mason's saying is the guess and check, because we have to just do trial and error on what numbers are going to make it work. So we do have a little bit of a guide. We take the factors of our constants, so the factors of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12, right? Over the factors of our leading coefficient. Luckily, our leading coefficient's 1, so that just leaves those all whole numbers. Okay? For one of these to work, you have to get a 0 in the remainder spot. So you're just doing some trial and error. Now, what one do you want me to try first?
4. No,
Not 4. Don't try 4. Kylie said 4 doesn't work. Pick another one. 2
doesn't work.
2.
What about negative? About 6. Just kidding. 6. Negative 2.
Negative 2. Okay. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. I add and get negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 2 is 2. I add and get negative 6. Good job. Negative 6 times negative 2 is 12. I add and get 0. Now, they had done some work ahead of us back here and already told me a couple of them didn't work. If you don't get a 0 there, you just got to erase, mark it out, start over, and try another one. But we got a good one there. So we know one of our answers already is negative 2. Now, depending on what power this started off as, you might have to go again. But since that's a third power, that means this is a second power. So I'm bailing out right there and doing x squared minus x minus 6, because I think that thing can factor. A times c, what are the factors of negative 6 that add to negative 1? 2 and negative 3. So that would give me x plus 2 times x minus 3. And that tells you your answers. If x plus 2 is equal to 0, x has to equal negative 2. And if x minus 3 equals 0, x has to equal 3. So, we got negative 2 a couple times, didn't we? Because that's the guess and check that works. So negative 2 happened twice, and then 3 happened. Alright, then from there, we went to me giving you the answers and us writing the equation. Remember that? Let's look at that.
I have a question.
Hey, I got you. Let me back up here.
I thought you said we were going to have 3 answers.
We had negative 2 twice.
Oh, right. If we only write that down once, will that be wrong?
Well, how many times did I write it down?
I apologize, contract.
Just
Can we put it down twice?
No, No, it would not be.
Well, I didn't know since you had already had the first one written up there and then you wrote those two down there, so I didn't know.
What if you get the same answer 3 times?
Huh?
What if you get the same answer 3 times?
You can write it all 3 or 1, but don't write it 2.
What did she write, Mason?
We didn't have the same answer 3 times. You can't use that on him. Whew! I'm going to call Abby some interference here in a minute. I might need some help back here with this rowdy crowd.
Not me.
What were we doing here, Mason?
Ma'am?
Finding who was Mason.
Okay.
Oh. She said Mason.
I did. They probably answered for you. Alright. We have a polynomial function that gave me those answers, 3 and 1 plus 2i. I got to write the function that gets those answers.
You also get one.
Okay, good. That's the first trick, is if you have a 1 plus 2i, you also have a 1 minus 2i. Because anytime you get an I, that comes from a square root of -1, and square roots are positive and negative. Okay? So they're going to do that to you on purpose. They're going to give you that one, and you got to remember about the other one. Now, if these are answers, that means that came from x minus 3, right? Because you would set x minus 3 equal to 0 and solve to get 3. So then this one would be x minus 1 plus 2i. And then this one would be x minus 1 minus 2i.
So many
Yeah, I was looking in the book and they do brackets and everything. I just double up parentheses. Alright, now this is where I got a little bit confused at first, but what I got to notice, I'm going to simplify that ugly part first. What I got to notice, and it's a little hard to see, but I do have x minus 1 in there twice, right? So I'm going to have x minus 1 twice, and then I'm going to have 2i. 2i times negative 2i will make negative 4i squared, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so, okay, I got you. Alright, so that part in the red now, I'm just going to FOIL that. So that gets me x squared. Let's see if I can do this with you. Minus 1x and minus 1x is minus 2x. Is that okay? Sure. Then plus 1. Now, I squared, Mason remembered, is the same as negative 1, right? So negative 4 times negative 1 makes that a plus 4. So you can combine those like terms.
Wait, what negative 4?
I squared is the same as negative 1, so negative 4 times negative 1. Alright, so that finally is what all that ugliness up there was. But look what I haven't used yet. So now I got to drop down that x minus 3 and distribute it to my new good looking trinomial. You ready? So x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 2x is negative 2x squared. Plus your x times 5 is 5x.
Well, you add them, right? Where'd the 1 in from the 4 come from?
My last, negative 1 times negative 1. Okay, now with the negative 3. Negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times negative 2x is positive 6x. And negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. So, does this tell me what to name this function? I'm going to name it f. That's what they normally are. F of x is equal to x cubed. I got negative 2 and negative 3 is negative 5x squared. 5 and 6 is a positive 11x. And then negative 15. Alright, then while you're summing that one up, we're not going to look at it again today, but we will before Wednesday. The next things from there that we talked about was the graphs. You know, when the ends went different directions and how they were translated, +3, -2, minutes scooted this way and that way, all that. So we'll look at that again sometime before Wednesday. That was the stuff that had been the longest since we did, so I wanted to bring all that back to your mind. That get everything going back again, maybe?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.